get frustrated.
Let the demon lie in hell.
It's funny you say demon. It's funny you say demon because I wanted to start my week because it was the first thing I watched and it's what I started with, and I just put this list in order of things I watched them in. And I finished it yesterday, and that was His Dark Materials, which Jordan challenged me to watch this series as somebody who has never read the books. Now, Jordan, before you begin to correct me on things from the books or explain things away, just let me do my little rant here about why this show kind of. I don't want to say sucks. Well, no, okay, I'm gonna jump around a little bit. Well, I guess we'll still. Okay, no. Organize my thoughts. Um, this is uh, for those of you who have not seen His Dark Materials, it takes place in a world where everyone's soul basically is represented by a little animal creature that follows you around, and your personality, whatever your personality is, generally is represented by this animal. And blah 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 blah. Long story short, turns out there's a multiverse, and they're all fighting God. And spoiler alert. And they eventually go to our world, and you meet Will, who's a regular boy from a regular world. James McAvoy is in it, and he's a
Whoa,
dick.
regular feels so offensive.
Not okay. Look, here's the thing. If you haven't seen His Dark Materials, this is gonna mean nothing to you. I'm sorry. This is a very dense show. It's 3 seasons long. They're about 10 episodes apiece. They're an hour an episode. Its number one detriment is in terms of its placement in the world. His Dark Materials is kind of like it's a young adult fiction series. So it's like Harry Potter. It's like Hunger
Percy
Games. It's like
Jackson,
Percy Jackson. And so its main issue, first and foremost,
mostly.
is that it has children book logic, where characters have random MacGuffins that can seemingly do whatever the plot needs it to do in that moment. When they need to be stuck, they lose the object that just allows them to do kind of anything, or it'll just stop working. The thing is often given the tone that it's kind of bad, but there really doesn't seem to be a downside. Like, like spoiler alert for later seasons. Like, there's a super knife that all you need to get the super knife is to lose a couple of fingers, and you can just have the super knife. And like, he says a bunch of rules about the super knife kind of seems to operate on Power Rangers rules, but he just kind of flagrantly ignores the Power Rangers rules, and like there seems to be
This is so fascinating.
there seems to be no consequences or otherwise any negative detriments to violating the Power Rangers rules, but he does seem to. He lays out that don't use it for any ill purposes, which he does constantly and flagrantly. But the biggest thing is, and okay, just to start this off, my week off with this is, I said this show very much wants to be Game of Thrones. That's the number one thing.
That
Is
still bothers me.
it wants to be a prestige HBO. We want to be taken seriously. This is a very serious show, but it operates on children's book logic. Whereas Game of Thrones is a book written for adults, so it translates to HBO quite a bit better. So this show offsets its desire to be an HBO show by having admittedly really fucked up shit happen to kids. Like upsetting shit happening to kids. And it is not afraid or ashamed to show you. And like, that's kind of how kids' books They're all kind of inherently fucked up. Like Hunger Games is about kids murdering each other.
Yeah,
And we just kind of.
with a happy flavor, like color over top of it.
Right, to make you okay with it. And this is kind of the same way. Um, Across the board, the performances are good. It might be Lin-Manuel Miranda's best performance. He's got a monologue in season 2 that is just good. Like, it's just legit good. The performance is powerful. The emotion is heavy. He has a terrible Texan accent, but you kind of settle into it by season 3. or he settles into it, or he stops trying to force it. I don't know. It's not. It gets less bad as the series goes on. He's easily my favorite character. He's super fun, but like this show does that thing where it just like every time it doesn't need a character, it just kind of puts them in a corner until it needs them again, and it does that constantly with Lin-Manuel Miranda, where it'll just randomly cut back to him, and you're like, oh yeah, he's in this show. It does that a lot. With there's a character, I don't remember her, Molly something, the redhead, the scholar. There's a character that does.
Oh, her, yeah.
It constantly just cuts back to her, and I looked down for a second, and then she was talking to cow people, and I literally have no idea. Like at one moment, she's taking care of Bella Ramsey from or Ellie from The Last of Us in the main world, and then she's taking care of another couple of kids, and then she's talking to cow people, and I have no idea how that happened. Like literally, I don't know how she wound up talking to the cow people. It just seems to come out of nowhere. It's really bizarre. The other distracting thing for me early on, and this is not really the show's fault, this is my own fault, the fact that the main girl is Daphne Keane was so distracting because she had a British accent. It just kept pulling me out of it because I just remember her from Logan. Like she's like I think when she first started the show was around the time she did Logan, so she looks like Laura from Logan, and it's weird that she's speaking English, and it pulled me out for the first season. Until the third season when she hits puberty and now looks like modern day Daphne Keane, who has a much thinner face. She lost a lot of her baby fat. And it's, yeah, you could just, one of those, you could tell the show took a while to make. Where was I going with this? Was that all of my points? Oh, yes. Final point. The ending is bad. Straight up terrible, awful, god-awful. Made me so mad. I was so pissed. I messaged both Jordan and texted my friends who have also seen the show. I was super pissed. How do I describe how the ending is bad, Jordan? How do I do this without having to recap 3 seasons of television? Okay. Spoiler alert.
I don't know, but I'm enjoying that. I'm having a good time right now. This is funny.
Spoiler alert for this show. Okay.
It's so fascinating to hear perspectives when, like, yeah, this is very interesting.
So the big thing is this is a big takedown on religion. So it turns out that there's a big wide multiverse, and they're all controlled by what is essentially God, which they call
the authority.
They call it the authority, but it's God. But it's not actually God, because the actual big bad of the series is actually Metatron, who is a guy. Like, there's a detail that they mention.
No, he's an angel.
Right. But they say he's an angel, but he used to be a guy, and that seems like kind of an integral detail that they just kind of seem to skim over. Like an angel, humans becoming angels.
It's not the first one that you hear of at that point. You also know that not Baruch, but the person that Baruch was in love with, he was once human too. I don't remember if they say that in the show.
I do not recall if they do. They might have. That's just the thing, though. In season 3, just out of nowhere, they're like, "Oh yeah, by the way, angels are real. Here they are." They seemed like they could have been helpful up until this point, but now they've chosen to be selectively helpful for some reason. So a big issue overall with this show is, they and because I've read books like this, I recognize certain tropes and certain things. So there's just certain moments that you're like, oh, this is where you find out that Sirius Black isn't actually a bad guy. So there's just certain like inherent children's book
moments,
twists that feel like twists but aren't. So because as Jordan put it, they introduce elements and scenes from the second book into the first season, even though those books are like super long. So like early in the show, they introduce a character and they introduce this multiverse thing. When they don't introduce this multiverse thing until the end of the second book. So there's a moment at the end of the first season where James McAvoy cuts a hole in the universe that you can tell is supposed to be a big twist, but isn't. Because you've seen this other guy in the Our World randomly in the second episode. He's just in Our World with no explanation. And you see these scenes. So there's these moments that are supposed to be a twist. So in the second season, there's a couple of scenes where bad guys are revealed as twist villains when they're not. You know he's a bad guy because you've been seeing him do bad guy stuff for an entire season. So stuff that's twists, they don't work. they don't work because they're really obvious. And yeah, there's just
They
yeah.
don't work because the showrunners or whoever wrote this show have taken moments that were supposed to be twists
Um,
and showed the background behind them, thus disabling the fact that they're
yeah, so
twists
now they're
because they're
not
no
twist,
longer
but then
twists
still
now.
acting like they're a twist.
Yeah.
That's the
Yeah, yeah,
big
yeah.
thing. They still act like it's a twist because there's a lot of scenes where characters are just clearly saying dialogue from the book word for word. So they need to facilitate that. So they act like these moments are twists when they're not. So yeah, so the big main bad guy of this series is Metatron, who is pretending to be God. And God is just seemingly gone because this is supernatural. Um, or at the very least, they never say where he is. And so the second to last episode, and James McAvoy wants to fight God, and they need the super knife in order to beat God, and they never end up using the super knife on God because God tries to pull all of the dark matter, which they call dust, back to heaven, and so he creates this big void where if you get trapped in it, you die, but you don't die because you just fall forever. And so
He ceased to exist.
James McAvoy decides that he's gonna kamikaze and push Metatron into it, but um, the Mrs. Coulter, who is also phenomenal on this show, she's really good. Like genuinely, she's a great character. There's someone who's never. It's like she's one of the most morally great characters ever. Her monkey is probably the most put upon character. My up until the last episode, my one major note was the monkey should have talked at the end. The fact that the monkey never talks and is a waste of setup. There's so many moments where there's a moment at the end where the monkey is about to die where the monkey should have talked. He should have said something like goodbye or something, and it would have been narratively satisfying. But they just keep hinting that the monkey's going to talk, and then the monkey never talks, and they never really. That's a big thing for me. They never really explain her dynamic with it. Why she's so mean to it. Like they do kind of explain why she can just leave it, but not really. You're just kind of supposed to just get it. Like she can, there's these evil spirit things that she can just control.
The Damon or
The
whatever, not Damon, Specters.
Specters, just kind of seemingly arbitrarily, and those are moments that I'm not necessarily faulting the show because that feels like a thing where they probably explain it better in the book. Anyway, so they're about to beat the big. The big bad thing is perplexed. Metatron is perplexed by the notion that she can control the specters, and so he invites her to betray everyone, to work for him, and it's really obvious that she's just doing this to trick him so she can sacrifice herself. There's a really funny line where the one of the witches. Oh yeah, the witches are overpowered. But there's a line she has where she's like, "This is all about Lyra now, and you all need to stop being shit parents, and one and or both of you need to tragically sacrifice yourself, preferably both of you."
It would be ideal if it was both
It would
of
be
you.
ideal if it was both of you because let's just be honest, you both suck. There's a really funny moment where they put Mrs. Coulter on trial in season 3, and nobody goes, "Dude, you murdered her best friend," and he never feels he never feels bad for it. James McAvoy.
It was a necessary sacrifice, Justin, for the greater good.
James McAvoy, also great in this show. Great, excellent performance from James McAvoy, especially in the 3rd season. So yeah,
And that's kind of I think you're kind of illustrating a point for me where it's like when I watch this show, I like the original books, and I do like the portrayal of most of the actors. There's just certain story things that they do which they mess up, which makes it a frustrating experience for me.
So both of her parents do ultimately sacrifice themselves as they both push Metatron, and to the show's absolute credit, I thought for sure one of them was going to get out of it. It was a genuine surprise that they both bit it. But then we get to the worst thing, the god-awful series finale. It's terrible. It's legit. It's like the worst kind of there's nothing I hate worse than a penultimate episode that resolves everything, and then a series finale that does nothing. that is just a waste of time. There is multiple scenes of them in water together for some reason. There's one scene where they go to bathe in the water and he calls her dirty. And then there's another scene where they're in the water again for no reason. There's a excruciatingly long monologue from the scholar where she just talks forever just to seemingly fill time because they clearly didn't have enough book left to maintain an entire episode. So there's multiple scenes of them telling each other that they love each other. So anyway, the whole thing is a big,
Yeah.
big.
So basically, it's the best way that I can describe it for you and the audience's benefit is, it's essentially like they took an entire season to do the third book, right? And then this last, like, so every episode is like, really trying to squeeze a bunch of the book in, right? And then they take this episode, which just stretches out the last chapter of the
That's what
book.
it feels
Just
like.
just
It
entirely
feels
the last
so
chapter.
stressed out. Okay, so like,
That's basically the best way I
the
can describe this
entire
episode.
series, they say that Lyra is part of this big prophecy, and only Lyra. And this whole show is a big religious allegory, but also, from the impression I get from Jordan, is that they've dialed back the religious allegory a ton as well. But it's a big religious allegory, and Lyra in prophecy is Eve, but
Yeah.
like the allegory doesn't work because like
Eve reborn,
she's
basically.
Eve and she needs to have her own fall. But and the scholar who the show keeps cutting to while she kind of jogs in place, is supposed to be the serpent from the Bible, but like
Tempting them.
but that's not what happened. They had a conversation in which it's revealed that the scholar was lesbians for some girl that she worked with, and they wound up together. It's unclear, and then that ultimately makes Lyra.
Do they say that it was do they say that it was a female? In the book, it was just a guy.
Oh no! It shows her like giving her the googly eyes. It's very much a girl.
Interesting. I don't remember that.
Um,
Yeah, no, in the original book, it was just a guy that she.
yeah,
So it was very much.
obviously, this is a modern movie. They're gonna it's woke or whatever. But she doesn't really. It's not like the whole concept of the apple is the apple is supposed to represent knowledge. So what is the prophet? So her fall is her choosing to, as it's represented on screen, is to just kind of make out with Will for a little bit, and then the act of just kind of making out with Will a little bit, because this season needs them to get together in the end. So it like hard fast, they're all of a sudden madly and deeply in love, and it's just Lyra's character is frustrating because she has to conform to the book clearly. But so they do a little kissing, and then all of a sudden, all of the flow of the dust now starts returning to the world because dust is good, and they're making out. But the big twist, Jordan, is by them making out, it also means that they now have to close all of the worlds, and they can't stay together. They have to be separated and go back to their own respective worlds so the dust can be proper. So they have to close all of the windows except for the world to the dead, because I didn't even talk about the episode where they go to the land of the dead and save all the ghosts from heaven, because most of the cast of this show just die at the end. 2/3 of the cast of this show are dead by the end of this show. Have I missed anything?
Can I talk now?
Yes. Have I missed anything?
Uh, I mean, you did mention that there was a wall of text that it ends on that
Right.
aggravated you too.
Right, yes. And then the show, so yes, a big twist. They can't wind up together, and they decide that they're gonna, because this show thinks this is sad and not agitating, that they're gonna meet up once a year at this one spot where they can sit on a bench, so the show can do a sad scene of them sitting on a bench looking mournfully off into the distance as the sun sets. And then it smash cuts to a wall of text where it just, instead of showing us what happens for the rest of their lives, it just kind of tells us like this is a biopic and not a fantasy series on HBO. And then it says Lyra's adventures continued because I guess maybe they thought they'd get another show or season, maybe.
Yeah, there's another book that
So
happens
maybe they
after.
thought they were going to get another season or whatever, but it's awful. It's terrible. It sucks. I hate it. I hate it so much. It's the episode is just polluted with gag-inducing teen dialogue about how much they love each other. It's
It so
gross. It's awful.
so
It's not what makes this show
it's
good.
it's at this point I want to interject. It loses a lot of the nuance that the book kind of puts
No
into the
shit.
scene. So the way that it's supposed to basically the way that it's supposed to come back to the knowledge of it all of the serpent is the idea is supposed to be that the doctor or whatever the whatever her name is um basically at this point Lyra and Will are still quote unquote innocent. They don't know anything. They are Adam and Eve in the garden, right? Like they don't know anything about boys and girls and kissing and yada 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 yada. That's the idea.
But
And so she is supposed to represent the serpent, the temptation of knowledge, where she can tell them, like she tells them about everything they don't know. That's why she tells them the story of the first time she fell in love and the first time she kissed, and that's the knowledge that she's imparting, basically.
but
That's
yeah,
the idea.
it does not read that way. What's the fucking ever?
Um,
And
and so then the idea is supposed to be like Adam and Eve in the garden, they now have the knowledge and they fall. And so then
but but
they have
that's
to make
not
the
what
decision. They have to make the
I
decision.
hate
That's
it.
where I say it's a bad adaptation.
I hate it.
But they have to make they have to make the decision in the end whether they essentially stay together and everything. And one of them dies early because in the story he could stay in her world, but when you don't, and I don't remember if they mentioned this in the show,
Nope.
but
Kind of.
if you stay in a like in a world in a universe that isn't yours, you die faster. That's why Will's dad is dying, even though he's still so young, is because he has spent all that time living in Lyra's world, and it just goes against the
I
order of
I could be wrong.
reality.
I don't think they say that he's dying. I mean, he gets shot. That's how he dies in
Um,
in the show.
he's supposed to, yeah, he's in his village. Like when he's there, he's supposed to be old and sick and basically like
Oh, he is
dying.
not. He is absolutely not. That
Um,
explains a lot. My yeah. What was the other thing?
and so that's supposed to be why it's this big heartbreaking thing where they're like, no, like, okay, I'll stay with you. And he's like, no, I would rather you live your entire life. And they
Um,
ultimately decide, and it's supposed to be this big, impactful thing, which actually means something because, you know,
dumb. Hate it.
it's not just them making
Um,
out.
um, they also never. And you explained this to me, but like the show doesn't fucking. So there's a moment where like yeah, this cube just like crash lands, and they walk up on it, and Lyra's like, "There's somebody in there. What is this?" And then he's like, "I can cut it open with the knife," and then he cuts it open with the knife, and there's just thing, Voldemort looking thing inside, and it dies instantly the minute the light hits it, and then they both just look at it and go, that was weird, and then they move on. They don't say what it is. They don't say why that happened. They never explain it. They never address it. They never talk about it.
Yeah, that's supposed to be the authority.
And you told me that was the authority, so I said they just completely they don't say what happened to the real authority, and you're like, I'm pretty sure it's a thing in a box, and I was like, oh my god, that's what that was. They don't say what it is,
Yeah.
and like,
So the idea is supposed to be it's essentially like you know how when your grandfather gets old, you ship him off to the retirement home and then you usurp control of his empire and take over and now you're the actual one in control. It's supposed to be like that, where basically the authority was the authority,
it just seems like Metatron got
but
screwed.
they age and so then Metatron kind of just took over.
Yeah, that does not. They don't really explain that all that well. I don't know. Maybe yeah, maybe there's a bit where they were like he used to be a guy named Enoch, but that's just a bit of information that Azrael has for some reason. Um,
Yeah, he got that. He's supposed to have gotten that from Baruch. So
uh,
there's a scene where Baruch and them are talking about yeah, they're supposed to be yes,
um,
they're set up for it.
um, And then
And then yeah, there's a sequel. There's a sequel series where it's like the first one is like a prequel, and then the second one is a sequel, and it's Lyra, and she's like 21 or something now.
oh, the other
And that's
thing,
what at the end with that blurb of text where they talk about her future adventures.
done.
That's what they're
Um,
setting up.
my thing is just there's just so much. The ending truly this book wrap up. Moving on after this because this has gone on for too long. Um, it's a television
We
show,
still have we still have so much stuff to talk about.
right? It reminded me of Harry Potter, where just like there's so much unresolved. Like okay, so what? So is the magisterium? Does it that just it just shows she just goes off to college? So like there's now a power vacuum where all of the leadership of the magisterium is now dead. Um, so like what happened? Did it just collapse? Is there no more magisterium? That's like the foundation of their society is based on this group. So like, is there a new government? Like her parents are both now dead. Two major characters that have had a major impact on her life, whether she realizes it or not, are now dead. And the only bit of resolution they get, despite being major characters on this show, and the show cutting to their perspective constantly, the most they get is, well, I think my mom's dead. Moving on. It's really, again, to facilitate these scenes of them making out. It's so weird and awful. Um,
You want to know what happens to her, Justin? You got to read the sequel.
um,
That's what you got to do. You got to go. You want those answers, Justin. You better buy that next book.
man, it's just a real case of an ending of a thing really just hampering the rest of the experience. But there was one bit, that I want to end on that I really appreciated. Um,
Was it the end?
well, I love the bit where just out of nowhere you have Father Gomez hunting them, and they have no idea and they never find out because the angel just shows up and does the thing. Multiple of the seasons, I went, Jordan, why don't they just walk up and go squish? Like I'm just saying, like the guy with the spider for a fucking demon just seems to have gotten fucked, and like the guy who has a literal tiger, he kind of has a better he got the better end of the stick here. What's to stop me from just when Father Gomez is asleep walking up behind him and going squish? Like I just don't get it. So then when the angel shows up at the end and does literally that, I was like, oh my god, I've been saying that for 2 seasons and he did it. He didn't and then he dies because I guess you're not allowed to do that. I don't know. It was really confusing. But I was just like, oh, he did the thing I said he should do.
In the book, it was like he dies because the thing was a beetle, and it kept like biting him. And angels
Oh,
physically angels are
that's
very weak.
that's not how it comes across in the show. It's a spider in the show and he grabs it and then he just kind of
I think
explodes
it's a
and
beetle.
dies. Well,
Might have been a spider.
he's using the beetle, but in the show it's a little spider that sits on his shoulder, and the demon just kind of
Yeah.
or the angel walks up while he's praying to him, and he just squishes it. I will not allow you to hurt the little girl, me the angel. That's gay angel.
Yeah, and from what I remember in the book, it's like he's holding it and it keeps biting him and he gets distracted. And then I think Father Gomez like gets this strength because the angels are physically very weak. So he's like struggling to hold on to the whatever it was, a spider or whatever.
Yeah,
And he's
again,
trying to hold on to it. And then Father Gomez like hits him,
the show
I think.
does not give that vibe. But yes, overall, its biggest weakness is it desperately wants to be Game of Thrones when it is Harry Potter, and I think this show would be served so much better on on a different network. I like the best season is season 2, and that's because the episodes are 45 minutes long, 47 minutes long, 45 with credit, like 47 with credits, so it's like 45 minutes long, and it is a significantly better show. Like significantly better. Season 3 starts to drag like a lot. But yeah, it's very much an instance of the ending ruined it. The ending ruined it. I hated the ending. That's it. Moving on. Next thing. Hey there, everybody. It's Edcard Justin here. I guess that was a very long way of me saying I hated the ending. I hated the ending so much. I thought it was a bad ending. Just not a very good ending. But let me know what you think of his Dark Materials down in the comments down below. In the meantime, if you would like to see the full podcast that this video is from, you click the box on the left. That's going to take you to our New Year's special, the last show of this year, which it still currently is 2025 as I record this. Or you click the box on the right, and that's going to take you to a random video that YouTube thinks you're going to enjoy. Hit subscribe if you haven't already. We put new videos out 7 days a week. Or you can just leave this video a like. That helps us out too. We will see you all in the next video.